My name is Claire, and I never imagined that a 2-week business trip would turn my own home into a battlefield. When I left, I had a house, a locked door, and a family who supposedly loved me. When I came back, I found boxes in my hallway that weren't mine, a key that didn't work, and a brother who acted like he'd always lived there. It started with a phone call from my mother 3 days before my flight. She said it so casually, like she was mentioning the weather. "Your brother's going through a rough patch," she said. "He just needs somewhere to stay for a little while." I told her no. I said it clearly, more than once. My house wasn't a shelter for my 34-year-old brother who'd been fired from 4 jobs in 2 years and had a habit of disappearing with other people's money. She said she understood. She said she'd respect my answer. I should have known better. My family has a long history of hearing the word no and treating it as a suggestion. While I was overseas closing a deal that had taken me 8 months to land, my parents drove to my house with my brother's belongings and a copy of a key I didn't know existed. My neighbor Denise sent me a text with a photo attached. "Your brother's moving boxes into your garage," it said. "Thought you should know." I remember staring at that photo in a hotel room halfway around the world, feeling something cold settle into my chest. It wasn't just anger. It was the specific, quiet devastation of realizing that the people who raised you don't actually see you as a person with boundaries. They see you as a resource. I didn't call and scream. I didn't book an earlier flight home in a panic. Instead, I did something my family never expected from me. I got strategic. I called Denise back and asked her to keep an eye on things, gently, without confronting anyone. Then I called my lawyer, a woman named Priyanka, who had helped me buy that house entirely on my own 3 years earlier, back when I was renting a studio apartment and eating ramen to save for a down payment. I asked her one question. If my brother moves in without my permission, what are my options? She laughed, not unkindly, and told me exactly what to do. The house was in my name only. Not my parents' name, not my brother's, not anyone's, but mine. I had paid every mortgage payment myself. There was no lease, no agreement, nothing that gave my brother any legal right to be there. Which meant that whatever boxes he'd carried in, whatever key he thought he had, he was legally nothing more than a trespasser the moment I said so. So I let it play out for 4 more days. I let my brother settle in, get comfortable, tell his friends he'd finally landed on his feet. I let my mother post something vague and sentimental about family always taking care of family. And the entire time, I was quietly working with Priyanka to prepare exactly what I needed. When I landed, I didn't go straight home. I went to Priyanka's office first. We filed the paperwork to formally document unauthorized occupancy, and she connected me with a locksmith who specialized in situations exactly like mine. Then and only then did I drive to my own house. My brother opened my front door like he was welcoming me into his home. He had the audacity to say, "Hey, glad you're back. We should talk about splitting utilities." I looked past him at my own living room, at a stranger's shoes by my own door, at a life that had been rearranged without my consent. And I smiled, because for the first time in this entire mess, I finally had the upper hand. I told him calmly that we did need to talk. I let him sit down on my couch first. I let him relax. And then I placed a folder on the coffee table between us. Inside was a formal notice prepared by my attorney informing him that he was occupying the property without authorization and had 72 hours to vacate before further legal action would be taken. I watched the color drain from his face as he read it. He immediately called our mother, practically shouting into the phone that I was being cruel, that family doesn't do this to family. I could hear her voice on the other end, sharp and accusing, telling me I was heartless, that blood was supposed to matter more than 4 walls and a mortgage. I took the phone from my brother's hand, and for the first time in my life, I said the words I had swallowed for 30 years. I told her that blood does matter, which is exactly why I expected them to respect me instead of using a locksmith behind my back to move a grown man into a house I built alone. I told her that love isn't supposed to come with a spare key I never gave anyone. There was silence on the other end, the kind of silence that comes when someone realizes they've finally lost the ability to manipulate a situation in their favor. My brother left 3 days later, quieter than I expected, taking his boxes with him. My parents didn't speak to me for almost 2 months, but something had shifted permanently, and it wasn't just the locks I changed that same afternoon. It was the understanding, finally settled in my own chest, that protecting my peace wasn't cruelty. It was the first time in my life I had chosen myself in my own home without apology.